Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to episode 28 of the Prosperous Yogini Podcast. This is the first of our two-part festive mini-sodes. I thought, as it is the Christmas period, and I'm sure you're all busy like I am, a couple of mini-sodes to keep you going over the festive period would be good for me and good for you. And today I am going to talk to you about the key to consistency. So I'm sure you have come across this notion of you must show up in your yoga business, that consistency is king. And there is a part of me that does agree with that on some level. Yes, I mean, let's take your weekly classes. I've talked about this in the previous podcast. Can't remember what number it was, which was help my classes are empty. One of the challenges when we do have a period of quiet classes, or when we start something new and it takes time to build, say, that showing up consistently when our classes might be quiet, when we might not yet be profitable, then it can easily be, I don't quite have the energy for this. Then you cancel a week because I don't know, you got a bit of a sniffle, or you cancel a week here because you're just not quite feeling it. And before you know, any momentum that you may have been building has ground to a halt because you haven't been consistent. So there absolutely is an element of needing to be consistent on some level, alongside honoring your own energy levels and not forcing yourself to work when you're poorly. But there definitely is an element of needing to be consistent. And for me, and from what I've observed just in across all industries, all businesses, those people that long term sustain themselves in business, self-employed in business, are the people who are long-term consistent. I am long-term consistent. I have been teaching yoga for 13 years. I have been a yoga teacher full-time for 10 years. And that hasn't happened by accident. This has happened because I have turned up and served consistently. I was talking to someone just about this yesterday. She teaches a regular class. She's a massage therapist, but she's also a yoga teacher, and she teaches a regular class on a Monday night. She's a very established teacher. She just teaches one class on a Monday night. She has taught on a Monday night, with the exception of COVID pandemics. She's taught on a Monday night for 15 plus years. And her hubby was saying, oh, I really want to do this on a Monday night. Can you move your yoga class? And she was like, no, it is just Monday night is the night that I teach yoga. And I was like, yeah, I can really identify with that. Before I stopped working regularly at a weekend, I taught on a Saturday morning. No if, no buts, no coconuts, without fail. Sorry, no if, no buts, no coconuts. If you're like, Amy, where has that come from? That's a saying in our house that we stole, I think, from the film Wreck-It Ralph. But I taught on a Saturday morning vinyasa yoga, 9 o'clock, for 10 plus years. And it was just a consistent thing I did. And because of that vinyasa yoga class just used to always have 15 people in it, always be full. My friend, who's a massage therapist, who teaches one yoga class on a Monday night, she doesn't advertise this class, right? She's just done it on a Monday night for 15 plus years. It's always full. So there is an element that turning up, serving with consistency, is really going to help you in your business. The problem is understanding what consistency is going to mean for you. And I want to use the example, seeing as we're heading towards the end of the year, of this podcast. I am on episode 28. For the last 28 weeks, and I'm going to say, and counting, the last 28 weeks, I have turned up every week and served you guys with my podcast. I have turned up with consistency and created my podcast for you. I absolutely love this podcast, and I love just talking to myself. So what I've learned about consistency in doing this podcast is the key to consistency is doing something that lights you up, doing something that you find energetically, vibrationally lifts you, rather than energetically, vibrationally drains you. Because if it's something that energetically, vibrationally drains you, and you've told yourself that you have to consistently keep this up, right, then that is completely unsustainable. Let's use the example, like we're coming into January and lots of people think, oh, I'm going to go on a diet and I'm not going to eat chocolate, right? For me, that is not something I can be consistent at. Like, I love chocolate. I want some chocolate in my life. Okay. I like some chocolate consistently in my life, but not to the point that it's out of balance and makes me unhealthy. The same is true in how you are going to show up. Now, if you listen back to last week's podcast where I talked about your 2 roles in your yoga business, the service you provide the yoga teacher, and then you running your business, Yoga Boss, both of those roles, you have to show up in those roles in ways that light you up so you can be consistent. So let's say you tell yourself, right, I'm going to go live on Facebook stories, Instagram stories every day, but I really don't want to. I hate it. I find it really draining, but I'm just going to do it, right? You are not going to sustain this. However, if you absolutely love going into stories, going live or making little videos, sharing what's going on about your day. I've just started doing this, by the way, and because I really love doing it, then it is sustainable. But I haven't set myself the challenge that I'm going to turn up and create a video every day that appears in my stories. I've set myself, well, I really like making little videos. I really like sharing behind the scenes, like what I'm doing about my day, and maybe sharing every now and again something that's going on in my business or something I feel passionate about. I love, you know me, I love talking. I don't really mind sticking a video in front of my face. I quite like doing this in stories rather than putting it on my grid and creating reels. It's working well for me, but I don't have to do it every day. And if I can manage it every other day, great. If I can't manage it for a period of time, that's okay. I know it's still there. Turning up, consistency comes from, and I've written this down because I want to get this right, leaning into what vibrationally lights you up. If you lean into what you love, if you lean into what vibrationally lights you up, whatever it is, okay, whether it's your yoga practice, whether it's learning a new skill like surfing or learning an instrument, whether it's going out to teach yoga, whether it's something in your yoga business that helps you promote the services of a yoga teacher, whatever it is, leaning into what you love will allow you to show up with consistency. Consistency comes from a place, okay, of a vibration of, I love doing this. So I really love doing my podcast. I never think, oh God, I've got to record my podcast. I never think that. I'm excited to record my podcast. I don't find it energetically draining. It doesn't actually take me a huge amount of time. All of these things, because I can naturally just talk to myself for hours on end, which is why I'm 28 episodes in, weekly episode, 15 plus hours of talking to myself, and I have no intention of stopping. Not because I'm special, because other people can't do this. No, not at all. Because podcasting is 100% the best way for me personally that I can show up and serve you guys and create that connection of know, like, and trust. So hopefully I'm helping you in your businesses, in your yoga businesses, but also though, you might go, actually, I'd like to work with Amy. Maybe I'll join her mentorship program, or I'd like to work with Amy. Maybe I'll sign up to a yin training course. But the podcast, because it's something I really enjoy doing, I can do it consistently. I want to also just end on a point that I had a light bulb moment over a year ago now, but after doing many years of training around teaching yoga, I definitely have last few years probably spent more time training kind of on the business side of things with my Yoga Boss business head on. And I came to this light bulb moment, about a year ago now, that as a yoga teacher, as someone who practices yoga, I already know all I need. If you just heard a funny snore sound, the dog's below my chair. Pancake, shush. I already have all I need in order to run my business. And as someone who teaches yoga and practices yoga, where does our yoga practice come from? It comes from a place of consistency. It comes from rolling out our mat and practicing yoga and moving our bodies. But we also know that longevity comes from honoring our energetic alignment. So we don't force ourselves to do something. We don't force ourselves to roll out our yoga mat and do an energetic practice that is out of balance, out of whack. That sometimes our yoga practice might look like no yoga. Sometimes our yoga practice might look really restorative, yin based. Sometimes our yoga practice looks really energetic and yang like. Your consistency in your yoga business looks exactly the same. You do just turn up in energetic alignment with where you are now, and you lean into what you love. So moving into 2023, okay, and thinking about how you can, I want to say, be more consistent in your yoga business, because I really don't like beating the drum of you've got to be more consistent, because I then think that taps into shouldas, and we feel we should do something. We already feel like we haven't done enough. All of this, darling, is just sympathetic nervous system stress response that I don't really want at all for you to have. But moving into 2023, when you're thinking about how you may consistently show up in your yoga business in those two roles as a yoga teacher and a yoga boss, I want you to lean in to what you love. I want you to lean into what energetically lights you up. Okay. When you lean into what energetically lights you up, the rest just flows. I've written it down. I'm going to read out what I've written down, because actually what I wrote down was amazing and I don't feel like I'm communicating it quite well. So in 2023, lean into what you love, what lights you up. Consistency is a byproduct of this. So you don't have to think, oh, I better show up and be consistent. I need to be more consistent. Consistency is a byproduct of leaning into what you love, leaning into what lights you up. You don't have to show up, because you show up anyway, because you're leaning into what you love. You're vibrationally, energetically raised by doing whatever it is you're doing. The consistency is the byproduct of that action. All right, my darlings, I hope you found this mini episode useful, and I'll see you all next week.